there is something to be said for coaches that can handle young talent. Mike Keenan seems like a guy that couldn't. I mean, even Gretzky didn't like playing for him, right? Like, so it's there are people that loved him, there are people that didn't.
Yeah.
What is it about Mike Keenan, for instance, that didn't gel with young players?
Well, I mean, geez, again, how long do we have? I mean, he came in and berated, again, throwing names of old, unless they're watching it. Anders Eriksson, Bubba Eriksson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we remember.
So, again, I hadn't played. First period, we come in. Bubba's to my left. He comes in. He's, you're fucking terrible. Blah, 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 blah. And then he looks at me and goes, you're fucking worse. And I'm like, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking, I haven't played. Right? So he goes off on Bubba, and then he looks at me and goes, you're fucking worse. And I go, and I'm in my head, I'm like, I haven't played.
Right.
But you can't say anything because I'm a 21, 22-year-old kid that, So to me, that's horrible coaching. Or at the very least, bring me in the locker room after or in your office and say, hey, man, I just did that for a reason, blah, 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 and build me up.
Right.
And to me, that's when you tear guys down, I think that to me is bad coaching. I think you obviously can't let the young guys do what they want. It has to be within a system. But find a way to squeeze the best out of them. And that's where I think Mike failed me, at least, and failed a lot of other guys.
Now, you then move on to another tough coach, right? So you move, it's
Yeah.
literally the cross-state rival, Tampa
Yeah.
Bay Lightning. You end up playing for John Tortorella.
Yeah.
And this is a team on the rise. They are a lot of young, good players. Brad
Yeah.
Richards,
Yeah.
Marty St. Louis, Vincent LeCavalier. There's so many great players there that, have gone on to, make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And ultimately you guys won a cup. Torts just either stepped down or was let go, depending upon who you ask, as of this morning.
Yes, I did see that, yeah.
What's he like to play for? You were still in your early 20s.
Yeah, so at this point, I had 4 years in Florida. I wasn't getting in the lineup. I get traded to Tampa, which at the time they were second to last in the league. Wow. I think Florida was last. Tampa was second to last. And I just kind of had a talk with myself in the mirror, and I said, I'm just going to go out and play my game because I've got 1.5 feet out the door out of the NHL. I'm barely getting an opportunity here, so I'm just going to play my game. So I get there right around the trade deadline, and the team's last. So they basically just Torts didn't know who I was. Rick Dudley's the one who got me, who I've never met to this day. So I don't know if he's watching.
Wow. So he traded
But
for
he's
you?
the one that traded for me. He changed my life, and I've never met him. Wow. So I would give him a big hug today. But he's the one that got me. Torts didn't know who I was, and Craig Ramsey was our D coach. So he also saved my career. But yeah, it was just they just threw us out there, and the team was way out of a playoff spot, which is what the Sharks are now. And some guys didn't respond, and then others like me and Marty and Brad and Vinny were young, and we just kind of put something together the second half of that season, and then we made the playoffs the next year and won a cup 2 years later. So we went from basically last to winning a cup within 2 years. Torts had a lot to do with that, but we had to learn how to play under him, but I think he also learned how to coach certain guys differently, and it took Marty, and it took me, and it took Richie and Vinny going in, and there was some headbutts. There was some stuff that I'm taking to my grave. I mean, Torts will know what I'm talking about. It wasn't pretty, but at the end of the day, there was respect. And we had a couple tussles, but I was playing 30 minutes a night. He's the only coach.
Wow.
He's the only coach that ever yelled at me for coming off the ice.
Hey.
Under what circumstance?
So
what happened?
So it was a power play. I want to say I was out there for 40 seconds, first power play, and it was one of those nights I'm not feeling it. I'm not making, my passes aren't crisp. I'm off. So as a team guy, I'm like, I'm gonna let Kubina, whoever's next, go do it, right? And then the next day, he waited the next day, team meeting. They had the little laser pointers.
Yep.
Yes, I
So
remember.
he plays the power play. So 40 seconds in, presses pause, and then goes like this. Circles the time on the remaining power play. It says 1:22 left. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I go, I'm getting off. I'm like, I'm having a shitty night. I'm not fucking playing well. And he goes, "You fucking stay out there. You stay out there." And he was basically saying, "Stay out there. We want you. We need you." And it was like this weird, oh shit, like this guy really like, and it was that made me
Quite the
feel
compliment.
so good.
It's a bit of a change from you're worse.
Yeah, right. Like complete opposite. Here I am, like trying to do the right thing, and get off the ice, and he's the only coach that ever yelled at me for coming off, and he was like, "Stay on." And again, 6 years there, I led the league in ice time. I think it was me and Chara like neck and neck for like 6 years, and so how can I complain about playing for Torts? He got the best out of us, but you have to have thick skin, and that's where the players that don't usually will crumble under Torts, but the guys that do have thick skin can thrive.
Day to day, does he have that big personality? Like every day you walk in, is it that kind of same vibe, or is it different?
It depends on the day, obviously.
Does it depend on the game before?
It depends on the game before. Depends on the day. We had a great leader. Dave Anderchuk was our captain, and he was 40, and he was kind of the buffer between Torts and us. And Andy was super important for us in Tampa. Torts would come in, yell at us, and Andy would be like, fuck that or whatever. And we would kind of come together almost in spite of him, which I think is what he wanted, which is probably a coaching tactic that worked obviously for us, and it kept us together. But yeah, there were days where we thought we were going to get chewed out, and we came out and we were like, we put tennis balls out there and we were practicing how to like block shots with tennis balls, which was kind of weird and fun. But like, so it was unpredictable, but obviously efficient. We won a cup.
Well, you answered my question right before I was going to ask it. Like, does he have a tell, or did you just not know what was ever going to come?
Yeah, I don't think he did, but I think the struggle is how long. I think you can do that. I think that's why what we've seen from Torts is when he usually shows up, it's effective early on, and then eventually sometimes some guys can tune out and it gets hard, and that's where I think I can't speak for Torts and what he's done the last 10 years. I haven't been in the locker room, but I know for us as it dragged on, it got a little harder on some guys. And so, but no, it was definitely unpredictable, but held guys accountable. And he was always the best coach for me to inspire. You show up to Phoenix back in the day or Chicago when they were bad and there was nobody in the crowd. His speeches are really good, and he finds a way to motivate guys.
It's interesting, with Tampa and then with San Jose, you were at the beginning of southern markets that Canadians and Northern Americans had sort of doubted, right?
Yeah.
Tampa, before you got there, was really an also-ran. Like,
Yeah.
not a great market. They were consistently bad.
Yeah.
You had a couple of good players, like, Chris Gratton and stuff like that, but there wasn't the culture there. And I wonder, how much do you think that cup had to do with building what has become probably a top 3 NHL
absolutely.
markets to play in?
I think a lot. I think our fans, the building went from being pretty empty to you couldn't get a ticket in Tampa for years, and it became a destination place, which it is now. So again, back to what you asked me earlier, place you want to bring your family. Absolutely, weather's great. If you want to make money, there's no state tax. Good team. So I think we played a part in it. Obviously, the organization is really well run now with Mr. Vinnick is doing a great job, and they're finding ways to compete every year. And San Jose was very similar, minus this rebuild right now. I think the fans here, when we were here, I was here in 08 to 14, a sellout for 13 years in a row. This was my favorite building to play in as a visiting player and as a home player. Well, not this building, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. SAP.
For a second, I was like, wait.
Tech CU, let's go.
Let's go.
But the tank was my favorite place to play, and the building was freaking awesome. The fans were great, and again, besides the state tax money that you're losing in California, San Jose is an amazing place to play and should be a destination place for players to come to.
It was probably weird to get cheered for in Vancouver for like a 2-week period, right?
We were all in the same boat with that. There's a lot of guys that obviously were from other markets that were used to getting booed, but obviously Canadians are gonna pick their their country over personal beefs.
So we haven't met before today, but I did walk by you in the streets in Vancouver during the Olympics, and I just remember thinking,
I'm sure you remember that too, Dan.
No. I'm not saying. Do you remember my face?
Yeah, right.
No. But I remember because it was such a frenzy at those Olympics, being like, I don't think he's going to be able to enjoy his night very, very much. Did you just get mobbed every day?
Yeah, we were pretty. We had security everywhere we went. We didn't get to go see other events or whatever. We were pretty holed up in our hotel, meeting, restaurant, all. I'm surprised. And even like after we won the gold, it was a pretty red velvet ropey type situation. And it was, we didn't get to do a whole lot, but we were pretty focused on obviously winning. Cause I tell a lot of people, like, if we don't win that gold medal, like we're not getting like welcome, not necessarily not welcome to Canada, but silver medal in Canada in hockey is not what,
People wouldn't have been down for it.
No, it would not have been good. That would not have been good. Silver medal wouldn't have been like, yay, you go. It would have been like, get the fuck out of here.
So, the very told story, I guess, is the gold medal. I want to know what it was like after that loss to the States in the round robin, because that was obviously a line in the sand.
Yeah, I can't say specifically I remember anything that like jumps out at me. Obviously, you talk about gelling and stuff like that. I mean, you got guys that are playing 30 minutes on every team and they're coming in. Some guys are playing fourth line. You got to share the ice time. You got to share your role. It takes a minute, to figure that out. And I think that's where we were. Guys, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to like overstep. And you got Crosby in the room and you got these Hall of Famers and you try not to take ice time away from Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger.
Half the team is Sharks.
So it's like, yeah, right. We just didn't have it early on, and then we turned it up when we needed to. That's all it was. I don't remember anything specific, to be honest with you.